Man, been around the world and back again. My arms sure are tired. I always have to start like with a corny sound effect or a joke or something, but that music gets me pumped up. So today I am so blessed to have Yssah here with us. Um, I have seen you online and I've seen you doing talks about very complex things. I almost consider you like a doctor because you're talking about the plasma field. You're talking about the divine feminine, astrology. I've been just able to admire you from afar. And then finally at the Full Disclosure Now conference, I got a chance to meet you live and in person, and you do not disappoint. What I did want to say about you, though, you have a beautiful gentleness that is recognized by people. You are very relaxed and confident in who you are, and it's very easy. It's not something that has to be expressed. It just is. I feel like in the future, we don't always talk about relationships and things, or women and female confidence and things like that, but I could totally see in the future having these discussions where we just talk about being grounded as women and grounded in our confidence and who we are, and sharing our maternal instincts with our community, not just with our children, but expressing it with our counterparts and our friends, because I feel like we just need an abundance of nurturing amongst us. And I know that you could be very key in helping us understand that. I think we'll even let people see that today in our discussion as we're discussing these archetypes and how they express themselves astrologically. So I will allow you, I know something about you, but I will allow you to introduce yourself. What do you feel it's important for people to know about you before we get started, and you sharing? Because I'm excited about this information, y'all. Morgan. I just want to say this. Last night I was testing in Matrix Mind, and I'll go ahead and put the banner up, let you guys see. Morgan, thank you for standing by yesterday as I tested. I know people were probably thinking, what the heck is she doing? She was on there for like 18 minutes and she wasn't doing anything. But we are broadcasting live in the Matrix Mind tonight, and I love Matthew and been so excited about being able to work with him and connect with all the people there in Matrix Mind. They're very intelligent people. So, I'm looking forward to being able to share with you all and connect with you all. And I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No.
I saw Morgan on there. So
It's okay. You have to bring everything together in harmony and weave like you have been weaving in such a beautiful and majestic form. So thank you for all the labor that you are doing, bringing all these women and men together in such a harmonious and sublime way from the heart. And now that you also mentioned, I appreciate very much every word that you have just expressed about me. Well, what I practically focus in, yes, it involves science. It does. It also involves not science as the mainstream knows it, yet also from a spiritual approach. Because for me, that is one of the golden keys that was handed in to us by ourselves at a different uh, embodiment when we were in those ancient civilizations doing all that empowerment for us to be a cosmic race, for us to acknowledge ourselves as a cosmic race. And not only that, yet do what is necessary to actually be that, not just only in words, yet in actions. And of course, that is a full commitment. It is not just, like office time, like you go and then you come back home. It is actually more like a doctor, like is all the time committed. They can call a doctor at 4 a.m. and the doctor will be there, if that's what he does or she does. And also, I believe that we are being that, uh, some people call it healing aspect, some people call it harmonizing aspect of our soul, of our multidimensional body, that at any moment we can receive a call from ourselves, from a different fractal expression of ourselves. Hey, I need you. I need to order this information, or receive visitations, or receive or have hosts in your area, in your space, and everything is connected with one. When we remember that, then we are capable to give a response, responsible for the capability to respond, the ability to respond. That's where the word responsibility comes from. The capability, the ability to respond, and actually benefit ourselves from every experience that we are embodying. So yeah, when it comes to that divine feminine that you were talking about, some of the things that actually we are related to, which is Egypt. It's the beautiful background going on, and your beautiful Garabella, your tunic.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's precisely that. Um, that we can see how the feminine aspect is really being nourished in some places in the world. It goes different in every country, In some places you amplify your warrior, in other parts you amplify your intellectual aspect, and so forth. For me, Egypt amplifies everything, it nourishes everything. And one of the things it nourishes the most is actually the feminine aspect. Because I don't know if you experience it, but it's like you go to the temples and you're not a Muslim woman, yet you feel like, like covering your head like with a mantle, or being in a dress, or singing, or everyone experiences it at a different in a different way. What I've seen and what I did experience was that feminine energy empowered and blossoming, because one of the most important ways to actually enable all these codes is through the creativity, through the arts, as the very same priestess would talk about, like Hathor or Hathor, Isis, even Sekhmet. It was all about that strength and the feminine manifested in different forms.
I could say I can honestly answer to that. I did feel it, and I think why I felt it was because the male presence there was so deeply rooted in their masculine, and able to appreciate my feminine, where naturally beyond that, having the opposite, there was this intense renewal in the energy of love. If I could say that, by my third day there, the energy that I felt around me, I did not want to leave, and I felt so completely comfortable. And I think it is because I'm able to balance that within my own self, is that masculine and feminine, and allow myself to connect with masculine and not be afraid or intimidated, but to actually blossom and reciprocate. You know what I mean? Like I can have conversations and be smiled at and smile back. And I think here, like we're going through this struggle where it is fear and rejection of masculine energy. So it is actually blocking our feminine aura. You know, it's blocking it for the fear, right? And so fear is always going to take us out of the love energy. But I felt it in the air and I felt it in the temples, and it became so personal to me. You know what I mean? Like, I know you know what I mean. It just became personal. Like, whatever anyone else was going through, I was just having my own experience and taking it in for myself, and appreciating more than just the structure. It was just really the energy and memories, or like you said, pieces of yourself, teaching yourself and giving yourself these aha moments where you just know something, you know. And as you get to Dendora, we could talk about that. That was like the biggest blast. I cannot even step foot on that property when you just come through the gate in that little sitting area. It's all the way at the beginning before you even get to the temple, and it just hits you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, as you were saying right now, I'm sorry, I was trying to share the live now in my page.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah. So, well, yeah, we could keep going on and on and on about all the richness that brings to the field of awareness what experiencing yourself in Egypt is. And of course, like there are many whales, many whales. Interesting. Well, will be talking about a whale there, a constellation. So it came, even though there are many ways to actually perceive and order the the experiences that you get to be there as a wholeness. Because for me, this is this huge spectrum. Egypt, by this I mean this big spectrum that was actually enabled for people, for when people to go there, they would actually mirror into themselves and open all these files, these archives within their souls. It is immediate. What you get to experience when you're in Egypt, it's very unique from any other place in the world. So, having said this, um, what I do and how I relate all this spiritual science with all this background of the ancient civilizations, all these encoded messages that actually, when you get to translate them purely, then you get to see that it's a guide, it's a manual. It's a manual, as I was saying in the beginning, that like, it was us who wrote them for us to remember when the time came, and the time is now. So, and that's why also, like, the people there in Egypt have a huge level of awareness in spirituality. They perceive, they read your field immediately. Like, you can just be walking and someone, like the person who is sweeping the floor, will leave you the most illuminated message of what you were thinking, or a kid in the street, or someone. But it's like people that is performing, mostly people who is performing alive, that is detached from the stress, from I mean, they can be overall stressed by other things from other aspects, but they are so connected to the sites that you can see the effect that these sites still have, the influence that they continue to have in everyone that goes there, and mostly in the ones that live there. So, in the case of Dendera, it is, I could say, it's in between that and in between there and Abydos are the two places that I love the most in whole Egypt. Well, it's really hard, but I would put it like that: the temples. Okay, let's let's make it easier in temples. And why Dendera? As you know, the topic for us today is how the stars relate to this divine feminine and divine masculine. How did the stars become archetypes, and how are they influencing so profoundly human behavior at an unconscious and at a conscious level? So Dendera is one of the temples that has a more impressive level of information that is still intact, or well, not intact, but you can actually read it. Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's Dendera. And just to give us a brief intro of what Dendera is, so that people who hasn't been to Egypt or know about this can tune into a little bit to this, is that Dendera was the temple of Hathor. Hathor was Nether, or divine essence, that would represent the arts, the divine feminine, the beauty, and who was also the consort of Horus or Horus. And Horus is that famous Nether, or most people know him as a god. That is really it's commonly linked to the eye of Horus, or the pineal gland. So by that, we can see that every natter has a very specific encoding that is not only about mythological aspects. It also leads us to parts of our brain, of our body, of our DNA, of how the human was created, and so forth. So Dendera also has these huge ceilings where you can see step by step how the, the cosmos functions, how our galaxy functions, how our solar system functions, how the zodiac signs function, how the human was created, how yeah, that's a beautiful picture. I will be showing one in a bit, because like astrology has been forever, and since ever. And before it went a little bit into the esoteric part and mystical part, it was mostly connected with astronomy, with a very scientific approach, yet also a very spiritual interpretation of everything. And when we normally tune into the zodiac signs, then we know, like, for instance, now how planets recession, or um, like if they are in retrograde, or if they are aligned, and if they are specifically, creating a resonance in between some of them, how it influence our field. And people digest it and accept it more and more. However, I raise this question. I raise this question as, do you know why? Why? Besides the fact that the field of these planets, of these stars, are all the way spreading their field onto they reach ours, our own electromagnetic field? Yes, but how? How does that happen? And that is precisely through plasma, because we are actually made of stars. It is not only just a saying, we are made of stars. Our body is constituted for each drop 55% of plasma for every drop. And actually, plasma constitutes 99.999% of the matter. And it also is the ether at 0 point energy that it's suspended. So everything is light, everything is energy, just at different scales. So that's how all the stars transmit and reach to us and influence at different levels. That is one reason. The other one is that, and this I'm sharing for what I remember, okay? Let's imagine that when all this orchestra was brought to life, and by orchestra, I mean the Genesis, or how I call it, Gen Isis aspect, is that in those days, everything was created at a holofractographic scale. For those ones who doesn't know what holofractographic is, imagine a hologram, and then imagine how that hologram replicates infinitely into all the way until it generates a wholeness with everything that is surrounding it. It generates resonance. So I'm not going to go deep into all this scientific part, but I just want you to get an idea of how these stars influence our body, because our body is a hologram itself. Our body is a geometrical form as well that generates resonance with the stars' geometrical forms. And that's how they connect, because they are speaking the universal language. And at a quantum scale, we can, or Planck scale, we can relate it to plasma. But anyway, now, if you want to say something, just please tell me, because then I just can and go and on and on and on.
Let the doctor do your work.
Okay, so then who chose those names for the stars? Because if you look at the sky and you look at the crab, also known as Cancer, do you truly see a crab? Or when you talk about the Pegasus cube, you know, the Altair's table, also known as, imagine how powerful that constellation is, Altair's table, the God's table. It doesn't look like the chest of a Pegaso. Or, you know, and I could go on and on and on and on and on. So who chose those names that would actually tell mythological stories, really dramatic ones, and then you can get a slight idea of how reality has translated in such a dramatical form? Why? Because the pillars that are as antennas beaming to us all this energy, all this information, all this life, we have named them and believed and sustained an egregor that it's all about drama. So now we see that replicated in our reality, and that's one of the main reasons. You know, for instance, when we see the I'm going to start showing some okay, just here.
Yeah, some Matthew said humans like drama and complication. I think, yeah. What would life be without some drama?
Right? Yeah, like it spices it up. And yeah, like the thing is, on to what extent. Here we have actually some pictures of the ceiling of Dendera's temple. We see this very famous figure that is Nut. Nut is also known as the nether the of the sky, of the cosmos, is the mother. We can see here embracing, like holding the space. And then and on the floor, we have a gap that represents the earth. And then here we have Shu in the center, that is the father of both, that is separating them because they cannot be together. So, but then again, it's very interesting when we take that to a cognitive aspect of perception. Then we say, oh, they were separated by the mean father, I don't know. And then actually that enabled life, so it's mostly not about the stories, yet how we have translated them. Have we really tuned into the specific code that they are holding? For instance, here we have a sphere, and it's a winged sphere in her mouth. What could that possibly be? You look at this and you say, oh, look, they were very creative. They really very good artists. And then you can translate it in infinite ways. How I remember it and how I perceive it, that is a sphere. It's a plasma sphere, and it's winged because it's levitating. So at some point, they were very literal in their forms of representing it. So, and it's coming from her mouth because it's the breath of life. And it's also here coming from her womb, giving life. Because when we go into a black hole, the black hole is where life is created, actually through the zero point energy, which is the ether, which is also the the plasma at Planck scale. So, and they are showing it. And then again, what are stars made of? Plasma.
So I
So,
would interrupt and stop
sure.
just for a second because I've heard this Sophia prayer that says, "Take me to your womb where I know nothing and I can be reborn anew." And so this energy is taken into her mouth and
Exactly.
born again.
Exactly. And it also talks about, have you heard about the fire chariots that for instance, the scribes or the disciples or the prophets would see appearing in them, like God, God came in a fire chariot, you think perhaps about a spaceship, which is of course a possibility. And then also, if you see how the depiction and how they show it, is a circle, it's a sphere in fire. And we can see depictions of Jeshua surrounded in a sphere here in Egypt, everywhere, and that represents the plasma sphere because it's capable to generate anti-gravitational field, therefore flying, to say it somehow. So, okay, when we go to the stars, because actually I want to show this because it's in communion to what you were saying about the masculine there in Egypt, and how all these archetypes and how all these cultures embrace their own feminine and masculine in different ways. Why? What influences that? And one, because we can go many scales, one of them is precisely the stars, because each country, even though we have the same sky, Each country has very specific constellations aligned to their temples, to their pyramids, to that generate a very specific field and unique field or combo of codes. So, for instance, this here we have Orion on the left, which is one of the most famous constellations. And here we have Orion as well. But here is for the Sufis, astrology and astronomy. They would consider Orion as a woman. So when you put this together, they are facing each other. So why would the Sufis now that now are currently, or they have adopted Islam as a part of their
Religion.
ceremonial belief, due to how the conqueror went at that time. But anyway, that's another topic. Why would they put and actually the name of given to this constellation is Al-Hausa commonly, but it's not Al-Hausa, it's Alusa. And Alusa is one of the three forms of the divine feminine for all Middle East, mainly Jordan, Petra, Jordan. Because at that moment there, the feminine was very important. And she was Alusa, not Al-Hausa, which means in the middle of. Alusa is the name of that goddess. Could be related with Inanna, actually, for the Sumerians, or Ishtar. And so then we put them together. What would happen? Do you think, I'm going to stop sharing the screen because I also want to see your beautiful face. Okay, now I wasn't seeing you. Now I see your
Okay.
beautiful.
Okay.
Okay. When we see, could our reality possibly shift if we consider Orion as feminine and masculine? Of course. Of course. If we say that Pisces are the feminine and the masculine forces that are always chasing one another without coming together, this is also shown in the Dendera zodiac. And it's shown how to bring those forces together through very specific algorithms using the stars. That's how they did it. But they removed that constellation so that the human imprint wouldn't have that field of information, and then wouldn't be able to bring those two forces together and generate the trinity within. So because that's the level of impact that the stars have in the human blueprint through the holofractographic field. Do you want to say something?
Well, what I was just thinking of how there are a lot more, let's see. There are other gods that are, in one aspect they're shown as masculine, in one aspect they're shown as feminine. And I was trying to think of an example. Some things that they just consider that it's a man, and then other times it's considered a woman. In aspects, but I can't think specifically of it. But it's like, here it is. These two are the same. Are they just one half of one being? Is that where we're going with that?
Yes, and actually, for instance, when we talk about Orion, it's the gateway to the Earth, and if we just relate it to the masculine aspect, then we are perpetuating realities as the patriarchy, because from that plasmic field, which is so powerful, we are anchoring a belief and bringing it to life here in Earth. That's how reality is so simple and yet so complex. That's why they are ancient, like high technologies, the ancient ones, because it was all through the holofractographic field. And about the question that was just raised from Matthew, yes, the black hole has a singularity, and that singularity is the 0 point energy. So, yeah, exactly that one. No, that is a theory that will soon be moved. The black hole actually has a very stable field because it has plasma in the event horizon. So it doesn't suck it all. Actually, it is where life is happens. The sun has a black hole. The eye, the all-seeing eye that we see in Turkey, that we see everywhere, it's related to the black hole because our eye itself, it's a black hole. It has a hole inside. So, and yeah, that leads to other kind of topics, but then I would deviate. Uh, so yeah, if we bring this together, these two forms together as feminine and masculine, reality would shift at an unconscious scale, at a collective unconscious scale, which is very powerful because it goes directly to the brain hemispheres. And also, for instance, speaking about Egyptian mythology, when we talk about an archetypes, feminine and masculine, when we talk about Osiris, Osiris was shredded into 14 pieces. Okay, and Osiris is Orion and Sirius, the codes put together as Osirian in Abydos. So um, then we can go beyond that archetype of sacrifice that happens in men that we were talking about, Erica, like how the masculine has to sacrifice himself in order to fulfill all these aspects of reality. And so the women, because now the women is also multitask, right? Like they tell you that as a woman you can handle everything because you're super powerful, and then you can do million things at the same time. And yes, we can. And also men. The thing is that, are we meant to? Are we meant to? Or are we meant to choose what actually expands us more? So,
I've got a little bit lost because I was looking at those comments. And are you saying that the parts of ourself that we express, the parts of ourself that we use to define ourselves, we get to choose what defines us more? Um, I'm gonna say that, and then I'm gonna say this because I notice a lot of women struggle with not feeling feminine, and I'm saying, where are you getting the definition of what a woman is or what feminine is? It's it's kind of hurting people, right, in this way because they think all women must be wearing pink or heels or they can't like football, and it's these newer type definitions that have us trying to fit into some type of box. And when we don't fit into that box, now we feel like we aren't the thing that we are. You are the thing that you are. However you express it, however you interpret it and mold it for yourself, that is, if this is, you are that woman. You know what I mean? Like I can't express it any differently than that. If you like football and you're a little bit more rough, you don't like getting your nails done, you're not a woman. And
yes.
you express your feminine energy in the way that is best for you.
Yes. Look, this is a fascinating topic because if we see mythology, how they put always the feminine, or mostly, is like the feminine that is being rescued by the masculine,
Right.
or the feminine that destroys everything. It's like a Kali, it's like she really destroys everything. So it's like you have the both aspects. But what about if we are both? What about if actually being both is what we are meant to be, because we are a wholeness? So then, like, of course, there are very specific aspects at a psychological level, mostly because of all the egregors that there are. That, for instance, most women like to feel secure. At some point, most of them wouldn't do anything about it if a man didn't come to them. But nowadays, what happens is like, okay, I don't have a man, then I generate my own security. Now, what happens? When we reach all that level of power, then we can say, oh, I don't need a man right now because I give myself everything that I want. Or I don't need a partner because I'm giving myself everything that I want. Now you know you can. Now, then again, what do you choose? Do you want also to leave a space open for a companionship to happen and then play all that vulnerable aspect from both sides, where you play to be nourished and protected, and the other part plays to be nourished and taken care of? So it's all a game. It's just how we choose to play it. And when we're not aware that there are a specific programs installed in the stars to deviate ourselves to come together in unity as a whole into a wholeness, then that's when it gets twisted, because then we're not getting the full picture of it.
I do want to say this because I don't want anyone to be confused by what she said or what I said. And I want to repeat that again, that you choose this expression. And what she's saying is you've realized now that because we're getting away from these programs that have said women have to be weak, be quiet, follow, listen, shut up, that threw us off balance, because there is a part of you that wants to be nurtured, protected. You can do it yourself, but now you're more in the choosing, going back to normal, which is what would be normal, is choosing the way that you want to be nurtured and not being oppressed. And I'm not sure if you go into that maybe with there is a book called When God Was a Woman, and they talked about how the Levites came forth to remove the image of the woman, her sexuality, and the
Hmm.
statues, and decided that everything sexual about the woman is dirty, and turned her more into property. And so we're not going to define women as you have to wear, have to do. That's
Exactly.
so we're saying that getting into this true definition of what it is to be a woman, which is the embodiment of both.
Exactly. Exactly. It's a choice. It's a choice, and there is not good or wrong, because that's what we came here to experience, our own choices, our own experiences. The thing is that when we don't get the full spectrum of it all, then it is unconsciously conditioning our decisions because we don't know it all. Is, for instance, um, you know where I'm heading here, and thank you for like making everything clear, because this is a very uh,
Sensitive.
sensitive topic, because we are that every day. We don't take our, well, it's so important and fundamental to our existence. That's why there are so many triggers or things that could be, actually, like, be taken care with a lot of delicacy. So having said this, for me, there are many ways in which all the information has been lost, has gotten lost in translation in order to separate, put labels, and limit ourselves when we are a wholeness. You know, there, all the ingredients are within us. All the ingredients are there within us. We're just choosing which ones we are going to use for specific things. And when we have that power to play with all the ingredients that are within us, whether if it's the independence, whether if it is wanting to, fall for the role and, dressing up like we did in the conference, like all playing and dressing up. And, it's like, as long as we don't get into a box to defend a truth, because one who tries to defend a truth is not trying to defend it in front of the other, yet to oneself. We just are.
I am so happy that you said this. I've had friends in the past that said, we got to go teach the divine masculine. And I was like, no, you don't. We have to go talk about being women. And I was like, I don't know. Maybe you don't. I don't have to prove that I'm a woman to anybody except me. And I don't even really have to do that. All I have to do is be me.
Exactly.
Find my authentic me, express it, explore it, and be me. And so I think that's why some people are really suffering, where they feel like they must delete some part of themselves or change some part of themselves and fix it when there is nothing to fix or nothing to change. We're going to go through this cycle and we're going to be changing turns. And I've been a man many more times than I've probably been a woman, I feel, or I still have definitely strong resonance of my last few times as a man, that I would dream, even as a child in the young age, of myself in my male form. So if I grew up now, I might be really confused because of the politics and the talk. But I'm very lucky to grow up when I did, where I understand it. I am comfortable. And this is it. Are we making sure that we feel safe in our body? Do we feel safe in the body?
Yeah.
Feel comfortable in this body? And that's more what we need to focus on, rather than changing it to be like what anyone defines us as. So I don't need a feminist movement to define me. I am just me. Because even that is changing my definition and making it something external rather than something that's already here.
Exactly. That's beautiful. Thank you for talking about that capability of generating safety within our own temple,
Right.
because it is, our body is our temple. If we don't feel in our safe in our own temple, we will try to run away and escape in belief systems that are actually distracting to connect with us. So, for instance, if you try to, now that you were saying all this beauty, if this matrix or this simulation program runs through polarization and yet have secluded the singularity, which is the middle point. And the middle point, when we say neutral, is not, like, do you want yes or no? You pick. I'm neutral to it. No, it's about being comfortable with both aspects. That's the thing, being comfortable, not adopting both of them at the same time, yet being capable to adapt, to generate alchemy, to make the best experience from them both. And that is our power. We have humongous power. The thing is that when we get limited into a box of what is and what is not, then we are not limiting the reality. We're limiting ourselves from experiencing new things that will actually make us a higher form of consciousness.
I love this. And Kristen, happy birthday. Everybody giving Kristen the happy birthday shout out. And she said something that I totally have believed. Some of the strongest women I know are very feminine, and they are strong because they have to be. And endurance. But then, a lot of people will mistake strength as being loud or aggressive. And there is a certain level of strength in that. There is even more strength in a person that can endure and sometimes hold their own tongue and learn when not to speak, when not to be easily provoked, when to wade their way through a situation without having to lash out and attack. There is a strength in that. And we look down on that as actual weakness when sometimes that is the most powerful thing that you could do.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, as you said, I agree, there are different scales of how to perceive strength. And when for me, it's very interesting when the very same feminine criticizes one another because you are not like me and I am the way, and then you
You're
say,
hitting it because people talk about the sisterhood, and I'm like, honey, the sisterhood is hurting each other. And if one part says they want to get married, the other part says you're betraying the sisterhood. And they're really trying to put this in movies. If anybody's really watching any movies lately, that you're betraying the sisterhood because you want to be a traditional wife or something like that. And it's like, you want to be able to be you, but you won't allow me to be me because maybe this is really what makes me happy. And so why do I have to have this argument?
yes, well, there is one thing that actually I came aware of, I remembered, is that there is a difference in between our brain hemispheres, how they receive the frequency, because actually they are physically different. Our left hemisphere has a part that our right hemisphere has not. And that is generating also the miscommunication within our own masculine and our own feminine. Because from my form of perception, when we talk about another form of strength that requires physical force, then we're talking more about a masculine aspect, not gender, to clarify. I'm talking about energy because there is potential energy and there is kinetic energy. The woman is potential energy, creation, manifestation. The kinetic energy, the masculine, is expansion. So when we try, just imagine the potential energy trying to be the kinetic energy and the kinetic energy trying to be potential. No, each one has a very specific role. So when the universe respects the role within each one of us, that's why I don't fall for absolute truths. That's why I try to honor the truth within everyone the most that I can, because each one is role playing a different aspect in this whole theater. When each one honors what you were saying, who you truly are, then you're capable to occupy your space and generate resonance within all of us. The thing is that if someone doesn't know who she or he is because is trying to by being, suppress himself or herself by being, then it's going to try to remove everyone. No, this is me. This is my spot. No, you don't belong here. You go to your side.
It
And
will
then
thrash.
can
It
happen.
becomes thrashing for um, the center stage when it has to flow and change. I am not the same every day. You can't drive 70 miles an hour down every highway. You can't be happy every day. It is these things where people are wanting to be on an extreme level all the time. And it, no, it changes. You got to slow down for stop signs. You got to stop actually for stop signs. You got to change gears. You got to switch up. And I was on to the understanding too, as creation, here we were, as the feminine is the form of ideas, and the masculine had the muscle to bring it to life for us, right? Like we taught, we sang, we gave the creative um expertise to the population, and then the man had the energy, the male form had the energy or strength that we needed to build what we had in our vision, and that it was a cooperation. It until this time came where, our voice was removed. And I think a lot of people now are reactive, and possibly they're compensating because you've been hurt over time, and you think that you can strike out at the male aspect at this point because you've suffered. But understand that too, even in their bullying, in the participation of this process, they've been bullied and they are suffering because of it as well. And I will say this, because of my time as a male, if I do any of my past lives as a man, there was a great deal of pain for making very harsh decisions or being part of a system that didn't really give me a choice but to be strong and to not cry and to not be nurtured and to have all the world on my back, to be responsible for other people's happiness. And we feel that men, your brothers, your father, to me, are not necessarily the patriarchy. That is not true. They are also victims of the patriarchy. Patriarchy is the system, not the person.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. Yes, and thank you also for saying that, because that's when we could fall into genders instead of energies, because we both have the feminine and the masculine. And for instance, if you as a man at some point want to break, and and get held, and and nourished, and and cry, well, go for it. You have your feminine energy. And if at some point you as women also like want to crush and like expand all your strength in you, and uh, and be the one holding and securing the space, go for it. Is your masculine energy coming through you? The thing is to be aware of from which space we are coming from. And that is wisdom, and that is knowledge. And as far as we know what we are doing and where we're coming from, then we're doing our task. We're doing our homework. That's how I perceive it. Not just being and saying, yeah, boom, beep, the world, I just want to do this. Okay, go for it. But if you go from anger and rage and trying to compensate for what, for instance, the females have embodied through the years as witches, as priestess, as then you're just going to generate a wave that it's going to crush at you at some point, because anger generates anger. Nevertheless, if we try to shift a reality, what we need to do is be what we need, what we choose to embody, not perpetuate the same cycle and cycle and cycle again, just different faces. And that is a strength. And perhaps it is what Kristen was talking about, that level of strength. Because how many women are not criticized for being that feminine aspect, and then they say they are weak? And no, and then the other feminine, oh, she's so, like, like very manly like. Then you say, what? Why are you fighting against one each another? Come together. Together we rise. Together we rise.
I want to
Yeah.
go back and see something with two. I don't know if you David is bringing up the fact of Lionsgate, which peaks tomorrow, into this conversation. I don't know if you have something to
Hmm.
share about that.
Hmm. Sure. Look, well, an 8 is a very powerful number. Actually, we are in an 8 in the year. It's also an 8, so it's very
Right.
powerful. And we are playing through the Gregorian calendar, which is not an accurate calendar because this is not the 8th month.
Mm,
Actually, this would be the 6th month because September is the 7th month.
yeah.
So nevertheless, we are so strong that we can create a reality. And if we all
Mm,
believe that tomorrow is the 8th of the 8th of the 8th, then we're creating a reality. We are. So, yes, there are astrological or astronomical aspects where Sirius aligns to the sun and to the earth. That's why also the Mayan would celebrate on the 26th the beginning of their year, and also the Egyptian, because there is an alignment in between Sirius, the sun, and the earth. So taking that into consideration, then we what we are being called, and if like adding up everything that humanity is going through right now and all the planetary action happening, I believe that this fire from the lion aspect is asking us to alchemize through that fire, that alchemical fire, everything within that needs to shift and connect and expand our inner sun, our solar plexus,
wow.
connecting with the plasma codes from Sirius, which are the original or the primordial codes. Because if we look into our galactic DNA, the egg, the primordial egg from which the human was created, is from Sirius, which is related to the gen Isis. So it's to dive into all of that and uh, bring all that plasma nourishing our body. Then you can use all that plasma. Imagine that you're tuning into the plasma of Sirius and bringing all those codes mirroring into your own plasma, and then generating this huge, huge, huge sphere while you are expanding your solar plexus. And then choose where are you going to spend that light to, all that plasma. Because if we say that plasma generates matter, what are you trying to materialize? What reality you want to manifest? And then you project it there. Of course, there are different scales of doing that to generate a more coherent state in between that practice. But overall, it would be like that. And also, just to mention, and I want to show one picture, because here we see that Orion is also holding the lion. We see the lion, like in all ancient civilizations, because they were quite present in Hyperborea, in the foundation stage of humanity, of the reality. All of them were Kadistu, they were genetists. So we're not talking about the constellation Leo only, we're talking about the feline race. So yeah, it goes. further.
Which
Just
there is so much of it because I think people see Sekhmet, but there's many more lion beings
hmm,
and panther-like beings at these sites in Egypt. Um,
definitely, definitely. We have Tefnut. Actually, the Sphinx, they call it Tefnut. Tefnut is
Mother of Newt, or
yes, is mother of Nut. And for instance, this is the beauty where I was talking about the mythology. Like it is the thing is how we translate it, how it will generate an impact in our reality. Because for instance, we have a Sekhmet, which is also like sh- uh, shifts shape shifts into Hathor, you know. So there are very important codes that talk about hybrid things. There was a lot of hybrid genetics going on there. Look, do you see this? This is a constellation, the one that I was talking about, that but and was in another
oh yeah,
video. This one has a feline form, and behind it has a very feminine one. This would be kind of what we were talking about, like the sweet side and the strong side. And both are holding Pisces, but this is not shown. Like now, if we see the depictions, this part that is interconnecting them through the was, which is the scepter, it's
mhm.
not there anymore. And actually, this force, the two of them, is what brings these two together. The two forces of Pisces, it's what it brings them together. You see, for them to generate the yin and
Right,
yang,
right.
the quantum photonic entanglement, because and this is a constellation that is present in March, but they removed it because as Ophiuchus,
Oh,
uh,
you can.
it yes, it shifts reality. Like you can ask yourself what, and by this I want to precise, the 12th zodiac sign is very important for many reasons, and it has to do to enlighten the light, to unfold the light body, because it's a numerical value and it's in 12. It's but and it's related to the vector equilibrium and many other things. But when we talk about the 13th zodiac sign, because it's becoming more and more famous, why did a Fucus showed up? Let's say that the 12th zodiac sign shows to you what you need to shift, what
Mm,
you are required to shift. The 13th zodiac sign is telling you what you need to embrace and assume and embody within you. And now we're talking because Ophiuchus is the caduceus. Ophiuchus is the force that enlightens. So it's like saying, okay, they gave you a puzzle, but they were missing a few pieces. How are you going to build the full scenario? And then there is another zodiac sign that now has been officially acknowledged, and so grateful for that, because I started talking about this like 3 years ago, and n- nobody knew about this, and then more and more they started to see it, because in the moment of creation, the constellation of Cetus, which is the whale, was touching through its nose the solar ecliptic, bringing in the fishes together. Actually, yeah, it was his nose. And bringing in the fishes together. Because if we say that every star interconnected is generating patterns, it's like, for instance, have you heard that we were given the 440 hertz for music for years since the Second World War, because one of the agents thought that it would be funny to generate a dissonance in between the harmonic frequency and not. So they started to put every song, every frequency captured by the interferential wave coming from the radio, coming from every device at 440 hertz. That generates dissonance in our field. So then we are singing a song and generate dissonance with our own nature, where the natural one is 432 hertz. So that's why now it's like, okay, listen to music in 432 hertz, because that's the harmonic frequency of the universe. So it's the same with the stars. Imagine that if they don't give to you the full ingredient, because actually 440 gives an 8, whereas 432 hertz gives a 9. So we're talking about the mastery. So the same, if they don't give you the full combo of stars that there are in to be taken into consideration into our human hologram, they are giving you part of the recipe, not the full recipe in how to enlighten your body. And the funny thing, or the most interesting thing about Cetus, which is the whale, which we have whale codes in our DNA. If we integrate them, then we're capable to generate sun allocation, telepathy at a much easier way. It is, we are raising our consciousness. So yeah, it's the vector equilibrium. Well, I call it the 369. So then we go, if Cetus, we get Pisces, which is the first zodiac sign, not the last one. It's the first one, not Aries. The last ones will be the first ones, like it is said in the Bible. And it's even Pi Isis. So it's a very important algorithm. It's not just two fishes, stubborn fishes, running aside from one another. No, there are two forces that are to become one. And it's the beginning for the rest to happen. Yeah, thank you. And they call it a monster. This is why I'm saying, like, how do you perceive mythology? They call it the sea monster, and it's a whale. How can it be a monster? Well, depending on how you perceive it, of course, because then it comes with the story of Perseus and releasing Andromeda from the fierce monster that was trying to feed from Andromeda. Yeah, it's a beautiful story. It's not literal, it goes beyond. And what goes beyond is to bring Andromeda and Perseus together. So that is the forces coming together that Cetus is trying to do through the torsion. What torsion would it be? Imagine that we have the month of March, which is aligned to the constellation of Cetus, of Pisces in the solar ecliptic. And then we get from the beginning of March all the way to the 27th Pisces. Then we get Cetus, the 28th and the 29th, or the 27th and the 28th, depending the counting. And then we get Pisces again. So that's the proof that the time is not linear. If you have one sign, then another, and then comes back another sign, the same sign, like Pisces, Cetus, Pisces, that is the proof that time is spiraling, So That's why it's one of the reasons why it's so important to include Cetus, the whale, and they show it in the Dendera zodiac. It's bringing in the forces together. It's bringing in the feminine and the masculine together to meet through the torsion. So for me, it's not a monster. For me, it's the key.
I saw it called a super cluster complex or something.
Cetus.
Yeah, like Pisces Cetus supercluster.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, they are updating every day, information. The pulsar, which is the neutron star, the closest one to the Earth is in Cetus. So you can see how important it is to Earth's electromagnetic field and mostly to Earth's holofractographic field, you know?
Mm, this is actually cool to look at.
Yeah, it's
I don't know if
exciting.
you had something to look at, but because you got boots, Hercules, then let's see, Centaurus, Pisces, Cetus
Mhm.
supercluster over
Yeah,
here.
and
To
over there.
Perseus. Okay, so it seems like a whole ring. This whole ring is superclusters, and then down here as well.
Yeah,
Definitely
yeah,
getting some
it's showing to
information.
you the superclusters. Supercluster.
Hmm.
Okay. Hmm. Well, if we look at it also as a supercluster, for instance, it brings me to the one that is called the 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 soul of the cosmos,
Wow.
which is La Iñakea. And La
Oh.
Iñakea, yeah, it's such an important supercluster. Actually, there are walls there that connect to very important wormholes, actually, that take to other uh, galaxies and universes. More than galaxies, universes. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
Wow. We've hit a full spectrum. I don't know where else you'd like to go tonight with it, or
No, I think, let me just double check. I want to see if there is an image that would be important to show
and
just
any
to.
questions you all want to put out. Matrix Minds
No, yeah,
group
sure,
chat.
sure,
You
sure.
all are busy, and I'm enjoying it. Let's put this on the screen. Let people know, you know, where the rest of the programs are, and there's a cast. I'll go ahead and show that screen while she's looking at that. And so there's the Matrix Mind group chat in on Facebook, and over here there's the actual podcast channel. Oh, it says, yeah, there we go. So Kristen has her own show out there. Dietrich, we got Michelle Espinosa. I saw you, and then Matthew, we saw you. So you got coffee time. I don't. Later on, if I work with Matthew, and we'll get the information on the time, so that next time I can actually let people know what times to see you all and how they can connect. But this is matrixminds.us, where the live weekly broadcasts are. And then there's also a subscription channel on Facebook. And I'm really grateful to be able to hang out with you all. You're very powerful with your questions and your comments. And it's really cool. Oh my gosh. Was I showing it the whole time, or
No,
I don't
no,
know?
no, no, no,
Oh,
no,
no, no, no. Oh
no.
my God. Oh man, I was all over here. So share this tab instead. Here you go. Here you guys go with your, it's,
Oh.
here you go. Correct me if
Oh
I'm wrong,
no.
y'all. Correct me if I'm wrong, but here you go with the and that's matrixminds.us, and it's scrolling across the bottom of the screen, and there's some great content, super smart people. I'm really grateful, and I was talking to Terry about this, and I'm really grateful because going to the conferences and doing interviews and being able to meet so many really cool people who are very intelligent. I swear, there's a thing called the Flynn effect. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Flynn effect.
Yeah, it's Flynn, like General Flynn, y'all. So there's the Flynn effect is this. As you grow in your intelligence and you learn more information, it affects at least six people around you.
Hmm.
And so it discusses how this becomes an exponential growth of the intelligence and enlightenment of the planet. Because as I affect six people, those six people affect six people, and it just radiates out. And it it's not necessarily to do with ascension, but definitely I feel like that's what makes it possible. As we begin to grow and learn from each other, we are sharing that information, even just being in our vicinity, being in our field. Correct me if I'm wrong, Yssah,
Mhm.
but just someone
Yes,
being in our field, even if we don't have a conversation about the things that we know, it affects people. It lifts them up, and it our energy just radiates through them, and our what we share inside that spiritual realm, inside our toroidal field, just it has no choice but to change people
for
around
sure.
it, right?
For sure. Yeah, because we, as we get to be more aligned and in harmony within our own axis, then we become, our frequency becomes stronger, and it starts to influence our reality and generate resonance with the ones that are around us, and it automatically starts to unfold their own neuronal pathways and generate a lot of alchemy. There is this beautiful research that Mexican scientist Jacobo Greenberg did. He calls it synergic theory, and he talks about this. That how, for instance, the level of proximity with someone can permeate and fusion your fields onto an extent that when you are even separated, you can still perceive the other's field and transmit what we know as telepathic messages and so forth. And yeah, the other explanation to that is because the plasma becomes so entangled that then there is much higher form of connection. But yet then this also goes through galactic approach, which is if you're from the same family, if you are deeply connected as a soul, because you are holding the same codes or very similar ones.
Right. And because I think sometimes we think we need to abruptly teach people things, and honestly, the glue that gets stuck, the part that can't come off, people can't wipe it off. It is that love energy that you have, that
Mhm,
compassion that you have,
absolutely.
because you can fight about ideas, and people don't have to agree with you, and we can fight about ideas, but no one can fight with a beautiful spirit. They can, I mean, but it'll be like one you punching with one arm behind your back, because you can't fight me if I won't fight you. So I mean, you can, but you kind of lose energy. And so here we are, taking different messages out, and creating this atmosphere of growth and intelligence, just even in the spirit. We're very powerful, you all. And I used to think, after David Icke talks about, all the reptilians and such and such and such. And then he was like, but your power is love. And I'd be like, what? I used to be like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right. I get it. It's, here we go, like Bruce Lee. We're just. But
Yes.
you were looking for something. I'm not sure if you found it.
I
Maybe
was
I
just
should have.
looking if there was something to share. Yes, just this last image. Um, okay, so
Oh,
yeah, it's just to see how the codes go. For instance, we have here the like how Pisces is represented, right? It's two forces that are like an age going and get against each other. If you actually flip that up, they generate the zero, which is also it's also a Greek letter, you know?
Omega? No,
No,
no, no, no.
no, no, the alpha and the omega is different.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is also related to the zero. And um, just
Is
give me
this also Pistis Sophia is represented with the two side by side, isn't it? Pistis Sophia, Pistis.
I I don't know. I've heard about Pistis Sophia. I haven't uh, heard about the sign, the symbol.
Oh.
Um, I just am trying to, because then you see, as soon as you flip it up, then it's more related to to actually fee, which is what I've been saying, which is pi Isis fee. You know, if we then uh, move this upside down, then it's phi, which is related to phi Isis, which is 3.6014. And then anyway, it's related to the origin. And now just to go to the last one, the beginning and the end, as I was saying,
Hmm.
we can say, "Oh, come on, they're just letters. What's about that?" Well, they have a numerical value, and actually, they are dictating the algorithms of this quantum machinery that is connected to the simulation, because it all comes to algorithms. So here, for instance, I put the famous figure of Vitruvius of Da Vinci, which is the Vitruvius man and women, feminine and masculine, if you want to see it at an energetic scale. And when they come together, they generate an eye, right, in the center. And this right is the Vesica Pisces. So
Oh,
how?
that's it. I'm saying it wrong. Vesica Pisces. Vesica.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Vesica.
Yeah,
My.
and it is the Vesica Pisces. And for instance, if you, as I was saying, why it is so important, because if you are starting a story like with from not from the beginning yet, from another point, you won't get the full story. You won't get it. So it's like they removed the origin, the true origin, like the true north, when the axis still deviated through the crash of Theia and then generated the moon. The same. It's like the story has been overlapped, has been delayed, has been removed from the original beginning, from the true start of it. And then everything has been shifted. So as the months, deviating to like 2 months delayed, it's the same. So it's very important to connect with the true origin. That's why the Egyptian temples had the connection always to the true north, which was the true origin and axis of the temple. So and it goes within, to have our own temple axis aligned to our true origin, to our true north. So for me, this is some very important seeds that I have been spreading, because when we assume that Pisces is the first zodiac sign and everything that unravels this, then we get to align to the primordial egg. And then, seriously, yeah, seriously, like just acknowledging Pisces as the first zodiac sign would shift reality, because then the fishes come together energetically and through the blueprint, the forces. It will be easier and undeniable, like beyond any egregor. The energies, the feminine and the masculine, would become untangled at an easier scale, because we are routing it from the holofractographic field where everything was created. All this reality as a hologram was created from the holofractographic field, from the sixth dimension. So when we actually get to tune into that, then we are shifting our reality from the core.
So from that, I have two questions. Does this also align with the Egyptian New Year? It does not, does it? Because I think that was July,
Yeah,
maybe the
that's it's
15th.
in the alignment with Sirius, actually. With Sirius, the Earth and the Sun. It's what when they would celebrate there. Yet it comes together. Why? Because we are taking into consideration the time system, or the cyclic system, which would be actually, let's say, in July, like the Mayan, and
Mhm.
then also where life begins, which is in spring, which is March 21st.
What do you suppose we practically do? Because it sounds like we're going to have to train ourselves and rebel in this way because we learn it, but we don't do it. You know what I mean? But it sounds like we need to do it. It sounds like this is going to create an awakening for us that would not be possible otherwise. How do we put this into action in our, I mean, because I feel like now we need a new calendar app, y'all. We need we need a calendar to put on the wall. So it's like something like we've already been programmed. Like, how do we actually literally reprogram ourselves to get in step in alignment? Because I can just feel like that would just open up something for us. I had an issue with my family members before, and the young people, I was noticing how depressed they were. And what I came to the reality of is because they're not living in the truth, their spirit is just weak. You know what I mean? And they can't actually have fulfillment and full joy because they need to understand truth and live in truth. And this was way before I understood these type of things. This was just being of our culture and not knowing who we are and who we're from and what we are. But I didn't even know that we would come to these levels like 20 years later in something so deep, because this is all pretty new to me. Like, I knew that we weren't living the lives we were supposed to be living, but this, we're on this level. But I feel like this is what we need to empower ourselves to. I think it'll straighten our spines up. We'll be walking differently if we begin to put this into practice somehow. So, how do we do that?
Well, for me, as I was telling you, it's not about rejecting the other systems, time systems that are like the calendar. I was just recording the video on that because, for instance, calendar comes from calendas, which is actually charging for taxes. So that's the kind of life that most people live, just living to pay, paying to live, paying to live. So when we say like why they chose the 31st of December and then January the 1st, because there's a whole spectrum going on there with Saturn, and Saturn is Chronos, and Chronos is the god that ate his 12 children. By this, it means the 12 strands of DNA, he sucked them. Time sucks the 12 stranded DNA because it locks it into a time system that is generating a dephase and a delay in between your original rhythm and the simulated rhythm that you are to fulfill. So uh, first, it would be like celebrating another thing in the 31st. You know, if you want to celebrate life, or that you're on vacation, or if you want to celebrate Saturnalia, go for it. The thing is that celebrating and life, I mean overall, you know, but if you're celebrating the beginning of life when your life around you is showing to you that they are in hibernation mode yet, how can you be celebrating life? That's an incoherence, you know. And if and also, not to mention even Christmas, you know, Christmas has nothing to do with the date of birth of Yeshua, you know. So it's like living a lie and being okay with it. And actually, more than that, because it's a unified consciousness, as I was telling you, it's not about rejecting, it's just playing, yet being aware of it, which makes the difference. So for instance, it's like when you were going to school, they told all these lies, and if you respond lie in your exam, you will get the correct answer. So how does that works in our unconscious? Like when you give the wrong answer, you're actually right for for this reality. So you know, it's all the way. But
I
anyway,
mean, muscle testing is all about that, right? Because our field knows the truth, and maybe it's doing something to us.
exactly, exactly. And then celebrating the beginning of life in the 21st of March, you know.
My mother just told me this the other day, and I was like, "Oh, she's just coming up with stuff lately." She's just, and I was like, "Oh, you're
Right.
right. You women are really pregnant 10 months." And she's really into this 28 days. And I was like, Mom, I'm confused. I don't know what year it is now. Okay. So it's just like, it's not, and there's some people that can grasp the math to tell us, but I don't know what year it is. And I don't, if we change everything to 28, I don't know what that
Well, the
means.
fact that this is very important. The Mayan used the 28 days, actually, with 13 months, because then it's regular. If you go 31, 30, 28, 29, like, come on, you know, it's like, like your biology is like, what the heck is going on? And then
Mm.
you have people with thyroid problems, with circadian problems, with, you know, of course, because your biology is telling you, hey, like this is not accurate at all, you know, and then they enhance it with other things like technology and so forth. But anyway, so
Oh,
yeah.
she made a good point. I'm about to recalculate my age if that's the case. Let's really do that. Oh my gosh.
Well, and the
Mm,
40, no, we could go on and on talking, because also the
yeah.
40, it's the incubation, and
What
we are
is it?
incubated in this
All
matrix, in this
right.
enclosed matrix.
I just got back 4 years.
It's a win-win. Wherever you look at it, it's
Yeah.
a win-win.
Well, I'm really grateful that I got a chance to hang out with you, and I'm really looking forward to more of your messages. And I guess I don't know if you responded to this already, but is there a reason that you decided to take this up? Is there a reason? What attracted you to studying and Dendera and spending that time in Egypt to actually boots on the ground study what a lot of us dream of doing?
Hmm. Well, more than a study, it was, just being there and remembering and seeing what they were showing, and then
Mhm.
confirming it in the media, like doing a research. And what I just felt the huge call from my soul. It was like, you have to be here no matter what. You will be here. And so it was, and so it is. And it is one of my purposes in this lifetime, to bring all that information, because when we know something and there it generates resonance within the people, and actually it generates benefits to their lives, it brings benefits to their lives, well, why to stop, or why to, not to do that? And every one of us has a very specific mission. When we become passionate about this, then it it all makes sense and it all comes together. And yeah, for me, there is this treasure hold in all these ancient depictions. And the more that we remember them and acknowledge them, we bring them to life and actually make our life much easier, much, much easier.
Are you teaching any classes or doing any one-on-one or small group trainings, or what's coming for you in the next few months? What should people be looking out for?
Well, thank you. Well, yes, I am now giving a plasma body activation online course in English and in Spanish. Um, that is what we talk about, yet at a more profound scale. Uh, the benefits of activating your plasma body is actually gaining in your all your power from your fractals, from you as a multidimensional being, and using it to achieve that level of enlightenment, to actually be using from a state of awareness your light body, which involves regeneration, rejuvenation, infinite energy within you. And also, I give one-on-one consultations to translate your source code. Your source code is your geometrical body. Each one of us have a unique geometrical body. It's like our cosmic blueprint. And then when we unfold it, we are reaching our full potential. We are capable to be that double torus, which opens up to all dimensions, and being capable to actually create reality from our own universe, being a sovereign being, because once you activate your source code, then it's very easy for you to remove any tag that you have or anchor that you have from the egregor of this matrix that is unconsciously leading your choices, or that it keeps you bringing you into some shade that you are not aware of. It's like you actually remove your tag from that simulated reality without exiting it or escaping it. You're just surfing it, navigating it, and helping the ones you love to rise their consciousness. It's a very powerful, it's the key to yourself. You can connect with all your archives, your own akasha, the akasha, your life mission. uh, it, it is such a high technology. And what else? Then it also, I give one-on-one consultations if you want to remember your mission, if you want to tune into your mission, to upgrade your DNA, to increase your IQ,
Ooh.
yeah, like a lot of tools to expand your brain activity. I also help with that. That's one of the things that I was doing in Egypt. Um,
Mm. Makes
yes,
me kind of nervous and kind of excited because part of the reason I'm medically retired is being at work and having complete going blank and people saying you did this or said this and I'm like, no, I didn't. And I was like, oh my God, there's something wrong with my brain. I got brain scans and things like that. And I think I told you I was texting you this, like there's some portion of clear cognizance, but you don't know why you know things and you feel unsure because you don't know. You know things, but you don't know why. So that's a thing that you can help people get to because I think for some of us, we sever ourselves from those memories, but then for some of us, we're being blocked from those memories. And so you're helping people bridge that gap, correct?
exactly, exactly. Yes, yes, because it has it's related to some places, some parts of our brain that are not connected because our brains were binded together, like literally from a manipulation, binded together. They are to be interconnected and generating a singularity in between them. And that singularity is a very specific part in our brain that is interconnected through the eye of Horus from hemisphere to hemisphere. So when you're capable to do specific things in that singularity, then it pops up and opens up into all your DNA encoding from the cell to the mitochondria and interconnected then to the stars and to your celestial vault in the brain.
And so these are hands-on. You're with the person. It's not like just them watching the recording. It's
Uh,
you.
I do have recordings right now. I just have them in Spanish. I am going to start doing them in English to have the full course because that's a course. I call it the ontogen. Well, it's the ologen ISIS because
Oh,
it has
Genesis.
to do
Yeah.
the primordial yen, and all of that is information that I remember from the ISIS arc. That's how I call it. It's an arc where all of this information was stored, and yeah, and now it's very important to bring this because there are very easy ways to rejuvenate, to regenerate, to become more intelligent, to to use our full potential.
Wow, that's a lot of stuff. Hopefully everybody got it right here. The link you can find Yssah on Facebook very easily to inbox her and ask about the classes and services and just, hey, what's up? Great conversation. But let us know how we did. Leave comments, like, share, subscribe. That's what it's all about. It's the most
Yes.
fun. It's the most fun. You know what? It's like, I don't know what it is. Every time I was like, I'm going to slow down on doing shows. And then I meet so many people. I'm like, oh my God, I got to talk to them. It's way better than having a phone conversation and calling the person because it's like, hey, we can share the awesome with everybody, you know? And I
Exactly,
love it. I
exactly,
love it. And
exactly.
it's like I get to be in the school of life all the time. So I really, really enjoy it. And I'm really loving these comments and I'm loving how active people are with the feedback and sharing their knowledge. And thank you so much for hanging out with us. And Yssah, I look forward to talking to you more. Yeah.
Likewise, likewise, Erica. I enjoy it a lot, and looking forward to now have you in my YouTube channel and continue
Yay!
cosmically gossiping.
I see
Yeah,
one more comment. School of life. I love it. Yeah, for sure. So we're gonna fly on out. In case you were late and you didn't get to see the beautiful intro, I was told this is one of the best intro outros out there. So let me know because I'm talking trash about it. I really do think it is one of the best. So we're gonna fly out and let you have this.